The alarm blared through the UES Defiant, waking Captain Alan Miller from a deep sleep. He rushed to the bridge, still pulling on his uniform jacket. "Report," he barked, eyes quickly adjusting to the dim lights. The main screen showed something impossible. A massive ship had appeared near Neptune's orbit. It glowed with strange blue-green light that pulsed like a heartbeat. The ship was huge, at least 3 miles long, with parts that looked like crystal. "It just appeared, sir," said Lieutenant Sam Green, his voice shaking slightly. "No warp signature, no engine flare. 1 second nothing. Next second, that." Alan's mouth went dry. Humanity had wondered about aliens for centuries. Now they were here, and Alan's exploration ship was the closest vessel to make contact. "Wake everyone. Now," he ordered. "Full alert." Dr. Olivia Bennett rushed onto the bridge 5 minutes later, her red hair messy from sleep. She went straight to her science station. "Captain, the energy readings are off the charts," she said, eyes wide as she studied her screen. "Nothing in our database matches this. And the ship, it's not made of any metal we know." For 3 days, the alien ship sat silently. Earth's governments panicked. Military forces went on high alert. Religious leaders called for calm. The stock market crashed. Through it all, the UES Defiant watched and waited. "Why aren't they doing anything?" Alan asked on the 3rd day, staring at the alien vessel on the screen. As if hearing his question, the alien ship finally sent a message. The creature on screen made Alan's skin crawl. It looked like a giant insect standing upright with a hard outer shell that shimmered with rainbow colors. Its eyes were huge and divided into hundreds of tiny sections like a fly's eyes. It made clicking sounds with its mouth parts that somehow became English words. "Attention. Primitive species. This vessel represents the authority of the Zalaxian hegemony, the ruling force of 73 star systems. Your solar system has been noted for acquisition. Prepare for assessment and classification. Resistance is inadvisable." The bridge went silent. Lieutenant Grace Phillips, who handled communications, turned to Alan with fear in her eyes. "Sir, they're broadcasting this to everyone. Every TV, radio, and communication device on Earth is receiving this message." Alan took a deep breath. He had trained for first contact scenarios, but nothing like this. This wasn't a friendly hello. It was a threat. "Open a channel back to them," he ordered, straightening his uniform. "The whole world is watching. We need to show strength." When the alien leader appeared again, Alan spoke clearly and calmly. "This is Captain Alan Miller of the United Earth ship Defiant. We welcome peaceful contact with your species, but we must inform you that Earth is not available for acquisition. We are a sovereign world." The alien's head tilted, its huge eyes reflecting Alan's image back at him. "I am Supreme Executor Krivax." It clicked. "Your understanding is irrelevant. Your species has been classified as Category 4, limited technological advancement, no significant biological advantages, restricted to single-star system. You will be granted protectorate status. Resource extraction will commence within 1 planetary rotation. Compliance is mandatory." Alan's heart raced, but he kept his face calm. "With respect, Supreme Executor, Earth and its colonies are sovereign territory. We welcome peaceful contact and cultural exchange, but we cannot accept resource extraction without negotiation." The alien's mouth parts moved in what might have been a smile. "Negotiation is for equals, Captain Miller. Your species is not our equal." A private message flashed on Alan's screen from Admiral Susan Carter at Earth Command. "Stall them. We're mobilizing everything we have." Alan knew everything we have wasn't much. Earth had been peaceful for decades. The Defiant wasn't even a warship, just an exploration vessel with basic shields and a few defensive weapons. "Supreme Executor," Alan said carefully. "Before any actions are taken, I propose a cultural exchange. Let us learn about each other first. There may be benefits to working together that aren't obvious yet." Krivax went still for a moment. Its giant eyes seemed to study Alan more closely. "Curious. Most Category 4 species accept their classification without question. Your proposal is unusual." While they talked, Dr. Bennett was secretly scanning the alien ship. She leaned close to Alan and whispered, "Captain, their shield technology. It's similar to our quantum barrier experiments. They're advanced, but maybe not as much as they want us to think." After a tense silence, Krivax nodded. "Very well, Captain Miller. A cultural exchange may proceed. We will send representatives to your vessel in 6 hours. Prepare accordingly." When the screen went dark, Alan turned to his crew. The bridge was silent except for the soft beeping of instruments. "Opinions?" he asked. Dr. Bennett spoke first. "Their technology is impressive, but has similarities to our theoretical models. I don't think they're gods, just more advanced." Lieutenant Phillips added, "Their translation to English was too quick. They've definitely met humans before, or at least species like us." Chief Security Officer Jack Powell, a big man with a scarred face, had been quiet until now. "They think we're weak, Captain, that's good. People who underestimate humans usually regret it." Alan nodded and stood up straight. "Contact Earth Command. We need to get ready for these visitors. And we need a plan in case this cultural exchange is just a trick. Remember, we're speaking for all humans now." As his crew hurried to prepare, Alan looked at the alien ship on the screen again. Humans had dreamed about meeting aliens for centuries, but no one had imagined first contact would be a threat. Whatever these Zelaxians wanted, Alan was determined that humanity wouldn't just surrender. In the quiet of his mind, Alan remembered Earth's long history of war and survival. These aliens had never met humans before. They had no idea what humans could do when pushed into a corner. The Zelaxians were about to learn a harsh lesson. The most dangerous animal isn't always the biggest or most advanced. Sometimes it's the one with nothing to lose and everything to fight for. "They think we're Category 4, Alan muttered to himself as he prepared to meet the aliens. "Let's show them why categories are a bad idea." 6 hours later, the alien shuttle left the mothership. It was smaller than the Defiant, but still impressive, sleek and shiny like polished metal with no visible engines. It moved silently toward the human ship. "They're here," Jack Powell said. Checking his weapon discreetly, Alan nodded. "Remember, everyone, be respectful but firm. We're not pushovers." The shuttle docked with precision. When the airlock opened, 3 Zelaxians stepped onto the Defiant. In the front was Supreme Executor Krivax. Behind him were 2 larger aliens with thicker shells and what looked like weapons built into their arms. "Bodyguards," Jack whispered to Alan. "They don't trust us." The meeting took place in the Defiant's largest room. Alan brought Dr. Bennett, Lieutenant Phillips, and Chief Powell. On a big screen, Admiral Carter and UN Secretary General Frank Morales watched from Earth. Krivax looked at each human slowly, his huge eyes moving independently. "Your bodies are like other species we've seen," he clicked. 2 legs, 2 arms, carbon-based, poor healing abilities. "But your brain patterns are unusual." Dr. Bennett looked surprised. "You can see our brain patterns?" One of the guard aliens made a sound like grinding rocks. The translator called it laughter. "Your bodies hide nothing from our scanners, human," the guard said. "We know everything about how you work inside and out." On the screen, Secretary General Morales spoke politely. "Supreme Executor, we hope for peace between humans and the Zelaxian hegemony." Krivax's eyes shifted. "Peace comes through knowing your place, Secretary. Each species has a rank. The assessment tells us your rank." "What exactly are you assessing?" Alan asked. "We have already started," Krivax replied. "Your technology level, biological abilities, resource use, cultural unity, and war-making potential are being measured." Everyone noticed the word war. "Admiral," Carter leaned closer to her camera. "Humans have mostly stopped fighting each other. We focus on exploring space and scientific discovery now." The Zelaxian made that grinding laugh again. "Every species says this when we first meet them. Reality is usually different." While they talked, Dr. Bennett secretly scanned the aliens with a small device. Their shells contained materials not found on Earth, but their basic biology wasn't completely different. They had protein structures similar to Earth life. "Supreme Executor," Alan asked carefully. "What resources are you interested in taking from Earth? Your planet has rare elements we need. Titanium, uranium, and rare earth metals. Your oceans have deuterium in amounts valuable to us. The extraction will damage some parts of your world, but if you cooperate, most cities can remain." Secretary General Morales looked angry. "And if we don't cooperate?" Kryvax's mouth parts clicked. "Then more of your world will be damaged. Category: 4 species cannot fight back effectively. Those who try become Category 5, suitable only for complete resource removal." The message was clear: submit and survive as slaves, or resist and face extinction. During the meeting, Lieutenant Phillips noticed one of the guard aliens watching the humans closely. When she met its gaze, it tilted its head slightly, almost like it was impressed. On Earth, scientists and military experts studied all data from the Defiant's sensors. The aliens were advanced, but their technology wasn't magic. It worked on principles that human scientists had started to understand. After the delegation returned to their ship, promising to finish their assessment in 2 days, Alan called an emergency meeting. "They're going to classify us as targets no matter what we say," Admiral Carter said bluntly. "We need a plan." Dr. Bennett spoke up. "Their technology is advanced, but I found weaknesses. Their shields pulse in patterns we might predict, and biologically they're not so different. They need oxygen like us and live in similar conditions." Chief Powell added, "They're too confident. The guards watched us but didn't treat us as dangerous. Their personal shields only turned on when we moved quickly. They don't expect us to fight back." Alan turned to Lieutenant Phillips. "You noticed something about one of the guards?" She nodded. "The taller one seemed different. It was studying us more carefully, almost like it was making its own judgment. When I caught it looking at me, it seemed to show respect, not the same dismissal as the others." "Maybe they're not all united," Secretary General Morales suggested. "We could use that." Alan looked at the image of the massive alien ship. "Before we fight an enemy with better technology, we need information. Lieutenant Phillips, review all our recordings of them. Look for any signs of their culture, power structures, anything useful." "What about showing them what humans can do?" Dr. Bennett suggested. "Something to make them rethink their classification?" Alan thought about this. "They care about war potential in their assessment. We've been peaceful for years, so they think we're weak. Maybe we should remind them why human history books are full of wars. The plan they made was dangerous, but smart. Earth would pretend to give in while secretly getting ready to fight. The aliens had never met humans before, and their arrogance might be their weakness." "Tell all Earth nations," Alan ordered. "Prepare for possible war, but act cooperative. For now. If we're going to fight an alien empire, we need the element of surprise." As the Defiant watched the alien vessel, Earth began its largest secret military preparation ever. The question wasn't if humans would fight, but how well they could fight. An enemy that had never seen them as worthy opponents. What the Zelaxians didn't understand was that humans had spent thousands of years fighting each other, creating battle plans against equals. Unlike the conquered species of the hegemony, humans hadn't grown up under the control of a stronger force. They had evolved competing against themselves, and that changed everything. 2 days later, the Zelaxians announced their decision. Just as everyone expected, Earth was officially labeled as Category 4, suitable for managed resource extraction with limited freedom. Supreme Executor Kryvax delivered the news with the same cold attitude as before. "Your cooperation will decide how much of your world survives," Kryvax said, as if offering a kind deal. "The first extraction ships will arrive in 10 days. Secretary General Morales kept his face calm despite his anger. "We understand, Supreme Executor. We will prepare our people for this change." After the call ended, Alan got a secret message. From Earth Command, "Operation Trojan Horse is ready, waiting for your signal." The plan was bold. While pretending to get ready for the Zelaxian mining teams, Earth had been preparing its limited but clever military resources. The experimental shield technology, similar to what powered the Zelaxian shields, had been quickly improved based on Dr. Bennett's findings. 20 hidden satellites had been placed around the solar system, each carrying a modified EMP weapon. They're constantly scanning Earth, Dr. Bennett reported. But they're only looking for normal weapons. The special shielded satellites are invisible to their sensors. On the third day after the decision, Lieutenant Phillips made an important discovery. Captain, I've been studying their communication patterns. There's a set of messages that use different security codes than the others. What does that mean? Alan asked. I think there's a group within their crew that's talking separately from their leaders. Based on the message patterns, I believe it's connected to that guard who was watching us differently. This matched information from Earth's deep space listening posts, which had detected the Zalaxian ship sending messages to somewhere beyond the solar system, but not getting answers when expected. They're cut off, Admiral Carter suggested during a private meeting. This might not be the whole hegemony we're dealing with. This could be a breakaway group or an advanced team operating on their own. The theory got stronger when Dr. Bennett's study of the Zalaxian biology revealed something surprising: genetic changes that didn't match natural evolution. They've been engineered, she explained. Their current form shows signs of artificial acceleration, probably over many generations. A daring plan formed. Instead of attacking the Zalaxians directly, humans would try to contact the separate group Lieutenant Phillips had found, using a carefully aimed transmission that matched the security pattern of the group's communications. They sent a simple message. We know you are not united. We offer alliance against common enemy. The answer came 12 hours later. Not as a message, but as a small shuttle approaching the Defiant under a cloaking device, nearly invisible to normal sensors. The shuttle carried just one Zalaxian, the guard who had shown interest in the humans. It called itself Trazix, a military specialist of the Zalaxian resistance. Your message was received with interest, Trazix said once safely in the Defiant's meeting room. Few species notice the division among our kind. You're not all loyal to the hegemony, Alan stated. The hegemony is a corruption of what our civilization once was, Trazix explained, its mouth parts moving with emotion. 300 years ago, a military group took control of our homeworlds. They started the classification system and began conquering other species. Those of us who opposed this were called traitors. Why tell us this? Chief Powell asked suspiciously. Because your species is different, Trazix said. We've watched 73 species brought into the hegemony. None responded like you did. You showed neither fear nor foolish aggression. You assessed, adapted, and prepared, all while appearing to comply. Dr. Bennett leaned forward. The brain patterns your scanners saw. Yes. Human brains show activity unlike any species we've met. You consider multiple possibilities, consequences, and strategies all at once. Most species either accept control or react with immediate, predictable violence. What are you suggesting? Alan asked. An alliance, the ship coming to your system, is not a mining fleet as Kryvax claimed. It is a warship coming to ensure your obedience through overwhelming force. But its crew is divided, with nearly 40% supporting the resistance. With your help, we could take control. Lieutenant Phillips studied the alien carefully. And we should trust you because the alternative is trying to fight the hegemony alone, Trazix replied simply. A fight you cannot win without allies who understand their technology and weaknesses. The information was sent to Earth Command, where military planners worked through possible scenarios. If Trazix was telling the truth, this could change everything. If it was a trap, humans would still use their original plan. Earth decided to welcome the approaching warship with proper respect, while secretly preparing their defense systems and supporting Trazix's resistance group. 3 days before the warship's arrival, Trazix provided crucial information: the command codes for temporarily disrupting the Zalaxian shields and the location of important systems on their ships. There is something else you should know, Trazix added. The reason Kryvax seems so dismissive of your species is because of your isolation. Most space-traveling civilizations developed under the influence or threat of others. You evolved alone, fighting only yourselves. This makes you unpredictable. Is that good or bad? Alan asked. It is why I sought contact, Trazix replied. In All the hegemony's records, no isolated species has ever successfully resisted classification. But no isolated species has ever shown your particular brain patterns either. You think like warriors even while talking of peace. As the warship approached Neptune's orbit, Secretary General Morales prepared an official welcome message as instructed by Kryvax. Meanwhile, Earth's hidden defense grid quietly powered up, and resistance supporters throughout the Zalaxian vessels prepared for coordinated action. Captain Alan Miller stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching the massive Zalaxian warship grow larger on the screen. Lieutenant Grace Phillips monitored communications, ready to broadcast the signal that would trigger the resistance uprising. Dr. Olivia Bennett finalized the targeting information for Earth's hidden weapons, while Chief Jack Powell prepared boarding teams equipped with weapons designed specifically to penetrate Zalaxian armor. "They're calling us," Lieutenant Phillips reported. "Open a channel," Alan ordered. Then, in a quieter voice to his crew, "Remember, whatever happens next, we're making history. The first humans to fight an interstellar empire. And what will our warning be to this empire that's never faced humans before?" Chief Powell asked. Alan's face hardened as the channel opened. That they should have run while they had the chance. The massive Zalaxian warship entered Earth orbit like a giant predator, its crystal body shining in the sunlight. Supreme Military Executor Vostraz, a higher-ranking officer than Kryvax, appeared on screens worldwide. His shell was decorated, with symbols that Trazix had explained were marks of planets he had conquered and species he had destroyed. "People of Earth," his translated voice boomed, "your world now serves the glory of the Zalaxian hegemony. Resistance is—" The transmission cut suddenly as Operation Trojan Horse started. 20 hidden satellites fired special EMP weapons at the same time, hitting communication arrays and shield generators that Trazix had identified as weak points. Inside the Zalaxian warship, chaos broke out as resistance fighters led by Trazix activated devices that blocked internal communications. The soldiers loyal to Vostraz couldn't coordinate their response to the unexpected attack. "Shields at 40% and failing," Dr. Bennett reported from the Defiant. "Their weapons are trying to power up, but they're encountering internal sabotage." Alan opened a channel to Earth Command. "Admiral Carter, launch Phase 2. From moon bases and hidden Earth platforms, 300 small ships launched. A mix of combat shuttles and the new Mako-class interceptors, spacecraft specially designed for close combat that the Zalaxians had never seen before." Lieutenant Phillips monitored the resistance communications. Trazix reports they've secured 3 of 5 engine control areas. The bridge is still under Loyalist control. The Zalaxian warship began to fire randomly, its weapon systems partly working despite the attack. 2 Mako interceptors disappeared in bright flashes, but the remaining craft followed the battle plan humans had perfected over centuries of warfare against each other, swarming tactics that overwhelmed targeting systems designed to track larger vessels. "They're launching fighters," Chief Powell warned as smaller crystal craft emerged from the warship. The space around Earth exploded in combat unlike anything humans had seen outside of simulations. The Zalaxian fighters were faster and more heavily armed, but the human pilots used unexpected moves using Earth's gravity and the cover of orbiting satellites to dodge and ambush their technologically superior enemies. On the ground, Secretary General Morales addressed the United Nations. "For too long, humanity divided itself with borders and disagreements. Today, we stand united against an enemy that threatens not just our resources or our freedom, but our very existence as a species. Today, we fight not as nations, but as Earth." The Defiant, leading a squadron of Earth's most advanced vessels, punched through the weakened shields of the Zalaxian warship. Boarding teams wearing armor inspired by Earth's deep-sea exploration suits, modified to resist Zalaxian weapons, breached the hull at key points identified by Trazix. Inside the alien vessel, human soldiers met both resistance fighters and Loyalist troops. The close-quarters fighting removed many of the Zalaxians' technology advantages, and the humans' fierce determination shocked the Imperial forces who had never faced an enemy so seemingly primitive, yet tactically smart. "Doctor." Bennett's voice came urgently over the radio. "Captain, I'm detecting energy buildups throughout the ship. They're trying to overload their reactor. They'll destroy themselves and take us with them. Chief Powell, leading a boarding team deep within the ship, redirected his squad toward the reactor control room. We need to reach those controls before they start a chain reaction. The fight for the reactor room was brutal. Powell lost half his team before securing the area with the help of resistance fighters. Dr. Bennett talked him through the process of stabilizing the reactor remotely from the Defiant. Meanwhile, Alan led another team toward the bridge, determined to capture Supreme Military Executor Vostraz alive. The Zalaxian commander had barricaded himself with his most loyal guards. "Surrender, Executor," Alan called through the sealed bridge doors. "Your ship is lost. Many of your own people have turned against you." The answer came as concentrated weapons fire that melted through the corridor wall beside them. 2 human soldiers fell before the team could retreat to cover. "We need a new approach," Alan muttered, as Lieutenant Phillips contacted him from the Defiant. "Captain, Trazix has provided access codes to the environmental systems for the bridge. We can change the air mixture remotely." It was a grim choice, but with the reactor still at risk of overload, Alan gave the order. The atmosphere on the bridge was changed to contain elements toxic to Zalaxian biology, not deadly, but disabling. When they finally broke into the bridge, they found Vostraz and his guards conscious but weakened. The Supreme Military Executor glared at Alan with eyes dimmed by the air assault. "What are you?" Vostraz struggled to speak. "No Category 4 species. Fights like this." Alan stepped closer, his face hard. "That's your first mistake, thinking you can put us in a box. Humans don't fit neatly into categories. We never have. The hegemony will send more ships," Vostraz warned. "This is just one vessel. Our empire spans many star systems." "Then we'll fight them too," Alan replied, "and we'll send them the pieces of your ship as a warning." By the time the battle ended, the Zalaxian warship was under joint human resistance control. 17 human vessels had been destroyed with hundreds of casualties, a high price, but far less than the billions who would have suffered under hegemony rule. Trazix and the resistance fighters were given safety on Earth, bringing with them knowledge of Zalaxian technology and tactics that would be very valuable in the coming conflict. After the battle, scientists began studying captured Zalaxian technology, while military planners prepared for the inevitable counterattack. The resistance provided star charts showing hegemony territories and potential allies, other conquered species who might rise up if they saw humanity's successful resistance. 1 month after the battle, long-range sensors detected a hegemony fleet gathering at the edge of the solar system, 5 warships, each larger than the first. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant Phillips reported from her new position as Communications Director for Earth Defense Force. Admiral Carter, now commanding Earth's combined fleet from the newly commissioned UES Valiant, nodded to Alan, who had been promoted to fleet captain. "Open a channel," Alan ordered. The hegemony fleet commander appeared, a Zalaxian with complex mechanical parts built into its shell. "Attention Earth defenders, your resistance has been noted. The Hegemony Council has reclassified your species as Category 2, dangerous and requiring specialized conquest protocols. Surrender immediately or face extinction." Alan looked at Trazix, who now served as advisor to Earth's military council. The resistance fighters' mouth parts clicked in what humans now recognized as amusement. "They've never reclassified upward by 2 categories before," Trazix noted. "You've scared them." Alan turned back to the screen. "Fleet Commander, I have a message for your Hegemony Council. Humanity refuses your classification entirely. We are not a category. We are humanity. We fought wars against ourselves for thousands of years before you arrived. What do you think we'll do to an enemy threatening our home? You cannot hope to defeat 5 warships," the fleet commander said dismissively. Alan's face remained calm. "We've spent the past month preparing while you gathered your fleet. Scan the space around you." The hegemony vessels suddenly detected hundreds of stealth platforms that uncloaked at the same time surrounding their position. Humanity's first minefield in space, built using modified Zalaxian technology. "This is your only warning," Alan continued. Leave our solar system and never return, or discover why every species on our world evolved to fear humans as apex predators. We've spent our entire history fighting. We've perfected it. And now, thanks to you, we're united against a common enemy for the first time. He leaned forward, his voice lowering. Your assessment missed something crucial about us. When a human tells you to run, you should run. The hegemony fleet hesitated, their sensors detecting not just the minefield, but the approaching Earth. Fleet, vessels upgraded with Zalaxian technology and new ships built specifically to counter hegemony tactics. What followed would become known as the First Hegemony War, a conflict that would eventually spread across multiple star systems as humanity expanded outward, not as conquerors like the Zalaxians, but as liberators of the conquered species who had never dared to resist. And throughout conquered hegemony space, a warning spread from world to world, whispered among species who had lived for generations under alien rule. If the hegemony comes to take your world, you fight. But if humans come to your world, you run. Because a species that evolved in isolation, fighting only itself, had created warriors unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The end